What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Dylan. Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully each and every single one of you are feeling fine and fantastic. We're joined by the one and only Tanya.
Hello.
Yes. Guys, a lot of people in the comment section have been saying stuff about Matthew Perry's life and what he went through during the show, the filming of the show, and how he turned his life around and everything like that. And I didn't know what people were talking about. So I was directed to this video by someone in the comments section, and I thought, hey, you know what? Instead of watching it myself, I'll watch it with you guys. And then I was like, hey, you know what? Instead of myself watching it with you guys, I'll watch it with Tanya. And Tanya doesn't know.
No.
Like, Tanya loves Friends, but she doesn't know anything about Matthew Perry.
I don't know anything about the actors, to be honest. Not
Yeah.
much. I'm not that kind of person that researches their lives or anything like this. So, no, I don't know. I mean, I realized that he went really, really skinny on season 4.
Maybe we're about to find out. Maybe he went through something like
and then
cancer or something like that.
he put on weight.
Yeah.
Did you realize he was very skinny at some point, and then he got a little bit more fat?
Yep.
I think it's got something to do with that.
Maybe. So, yeah, let's jump straight into it, guys. Hopefully you do enjoy it. Let us know in the comment section down below. Let's rock and roll. Go check this out over on Patreon, and it'll be only over on YouTube, but Patreon will get it first. All right, guys, let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
Living my life this way, this was it. If I keep living my life this way, there isn't going to be any life.
You would think that fame and money can solve all...
This was it. If I keep living my life this way, there isn't going to be any life.
You would think that fame and money can solve all of your problems, but the truth is far from that. For some people, there's a void inside that is harder to fill. You may know Matthew Perry for his role as Chandler Bing on Friends. For a while, it looked like he had everything. He was one of the most beloved 6 people on TV. He was making up to $1 million per episode, and he had a group of supportive friends and work colleagues. But behind the scenes, Matthew struggled with very serious issues. The combination of loneliness, overwhelming fame, and mental illness made the actor struggle to remain sober. After Friends finished, the issues remained, and Matthew had to balance out his career and his disease, all under the judging eyes of the press. What happened to Matthew that made his life so hard, even though it looked like he had everything? Keep watching, because today I'll tell you the tragic life story of Friends star Matthew Perry.
That's the thing. You don't know what this motherfucker can do. This thing here inside...
That's
you don't know what it can do to a person and what can do to a male. Females, yes, but to a male, this thing, man.
But it controls everything.
Yeah.
Your brain controls everything.
It tells you you're stupid, you're ugly, you're fat, you're skinny. You know what I mean? Like,
I've always said your brain is your enemy.
yeah, is your worst enemy.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
Damn, that's crazy.
Matthew wanted to be an actor since his teenage years. When he was 15 years old, he moved from Ottawa to Los Angeles to pursue his career. He enrolled at improv classes and quickly started getting some roles on TV shows. But the opportunity of his life came when he landed the role of Chandler Bing on Friends. Friends lasted 10 seasons and it ran from September 1994 to May 2004. This means that Matthew was completely committed to the show from age 24 to 34. Friends became a huge success. In the first season, the 6 actors were earning $22,000 for each episode, but as the show became more and more famous, their salaries increased, and by season 9 and 10, each of the main actors was making $1 million per episode. Matthew was particularly praised for his acting. The character of Chandler Bing was absolutely relatable. A good-natured guy who always had bad luck with the ladies, despite his good looks and a brilliantly sarcastic sense of humor. He was very blunt and honest, but he also had a big heart. Everyone loved Matthew. He was living the dream of every actor. He was having the time of his life on set, achieving everlasting fame, and earning more money than he could ever wish for. But behind
Suave.
Matthew's life wasn't nearly as perfect. There was something about to happen that would throw Matthew's life on a downward spiral, and it all started with a jet ski accident.
Okay.
In 1997, Matthew had a jet ski accident and he was prescribed Vicodin to help with the pain. Matthew remembers that taking it made him feel better than he had ever felt in his entire life, but then he couldn't stop. His habit of taking Vicodin and taste for alcohol were a bad combination, but Matthew tried to put an early stop to it and he went into rehab for the first time in 1997. He tried to remain positive. After he had kicked his Vicodin habit, he said, "I don't think there's anything in the world that I can't face, having faced that, but substance dependence is a very cruel illness. In fact, years after Friends finished, Matthew would admit that he had a big blur between season 3 and 6, and he sometimes fell out of it and was often acting in autopilot. The audience of Friends could tell that the actor was struggling because of his weight fluctuations. In 2000, after his first trip to rehab, Matthew was hospitalized with pancreatitis, a condition caused by consuming alcohol and other substances. Matthew lost 20 pounds, and when he came back to the show, everyone noticed the change. Matthew's overwhelming fame only made him want to be more secretive about his struggles, and sadly, his illness thrived under the surface. Soon, that would make him hit rock bottom.
That makes me feel hell
crazy.
bad.
That's crazy, huh?
Like, knowing, like, we were watching it and
Yeah.
we saw him how skinny he was, and now we know why. That's... Damn.
In 2001, Matthew
It's like
found
he
himself
didn't
at the
die.
lowest point of his illness. At this time, he was working simultaneously on Friends and the film Serving Sarah. This meant he had to commute between Los Angeles and Dallas. Not only was he extremely busy, but he was also in a very dark place mentally, drinking vodka constantly and in huge quantities. That made him feel very sleepy at work, and he remembers not being at the top of his game. He said that whenever he had to work, something happened between action and cut. His mind would be somewhere else, and he just did everything he had to do on autopilot. Regardless of how his problems to remain sober affected him, Matthew had a strict rule of never consuming any substances on set. He was never drunk or high as he acted. The problem was that he was extremely hungover or detoxing, which made him sweat and shake. Can you imagine how difficult it must have been for him to work under these circumstances? And on top of that, to try to be funny?
I mean, you have a lovely home.
The fact that he was a public figure only made things worse. Matthew defined himself as a pretty private person, so being in front of an audience of 30 million people while he was trying to control his drinking added to his negative feelings. Everyone knew that he was going through something and judged him for it. Contrary to other Hollywood stars who struggled with the same issues as him, Matthew never was a party animal. His drinking habit was not social, but the other way around. He completely isolated himself from others. But even if he felt alone, Matthew was surrounded by people who deeply cared for him. He was just too buried in his problems to notice. Regardless of Matthew's efforts for not allowing his illness to interfere with his work, everyone on the set of Friends was aware that he was struggling. Lisa Kudrow, whom you may know from the show as Phoebe, remembers how painful it was to see Matthew at his lowest. She said, "When Matthew was sick, it was not fun. We were just hopelessly standing on the sidelines. We were hurting a lot." Matt LeBlanc, who played the role of Joey Tribbiani, also tried to reach out to help him, but it was no use. In his words, there wasn't a response. It's such a personal struggle. They need to bottom out on their own. Marta Kaufman, the co-creator of Friends, said that it was terrifying to watch someone she cared about in so much pain. Sadly, Matthew's illness did not allow him to accept the help his friends were offering. But one day, he reached a point where something inside of him shifted. He was in his hotel room in Dallas, and he decided to call his parents and tell them he needed help. This was a very brave decision. Not everyone can give the first step to pull themselves out when they are at rock bottom. But according to Matthew, this was not a matter of bravery.
It actually has very little to do with courage at first. It's really it's kind of a life or death kind of situation. So what saved me was finally getting a little bit of clarity in my life. And
so, with the help of his parents, Matthew went to rehab for the second time. The production of Friends was halted, and he still had 13 days left to shoot from the movie Serving Sarah, but everyone was aware that his recovery was the top priority. Matthew spent 2.5 months in rehab. Once he was out, he went back, finished the movie, and also went back to the set of Friends. His colleagues noticed the change, and they were very happy for him. For a while, Matthew was lean and finally able to enjoy the success he had built with so much effort and pain. The next few years were good for Matthew. He worked on many projects as an actor, writer, producer, and director. But excessive drinking is a chronic mental illness, and it doesn't disappear after treatment. Even if someone manages to stop drinking, the risk of relapse is always there. In 2011, after years of sobriety, Matthew went back to rehab for the third time. Luckily, he had not relapsed. He was just taking precautions and wanted to take some time away from the public to focus on his recovery. He didn't go without wishing well for his fans and haters by saying, "Please enjoy making fun of me on the World Wide Web." After that, Matthew started actively trying to help other people in their recovery. In 2013, he opened a sober living facility center for men called the Perry House. He was awarded the Champion of Recovery Award by the White House during the Obama administration. After this, Matthew said that he wanted to be remembered for helping others more than he wanted to be remembered for Friends. A couple of years later, however, the cost of keeping his sober living center open became too high, and Matthew had to close the facility in 2015. He promised he would open it up again as soon as he found a more cost-effective location. Meanwhile, he kept raising his voice about his mental illness and trying to create awareness about the fact that excessive drinking is not a choice.
Even people who are in trouble with this thing don't kind of realize that they're suffering from a disease.
In 2015, Matthew got the Phoenix Rising Award for helping others battle their misuse of alcohol. After getting this award, he finally described himself as an award-winning alcoholic. In 2016, people started noticing that Matthew was acting weird again after he was seen muttering to himself during a cigarette break. Sources supposedly close to the actor said that he was not happy and that any little thing that happened could affect his sobriety. He did not relapse, but his health was not the best. In 2018, Matthew had to undergo surgery in LA for gastrointestinal perforation and spent 3 months bedridden. After that, he virtually disappeared, which left people wondering where he was, and next time the world knew about him made a lot of people worried. He was photographed looking disheveled with untidy clothes and long fingernails. He obviously made the headlines, but he soon came up with a funny response, promising that he would go get a manicure soon. As usual, Matthew had used humor to take attention away from his problems, but that didn't answer the question. Was he okay? A couple of years have gone by since then. Now, as you may know, the dream of many people from all ages and places of the world is about to come true. A Friends reunion is happening. Matthew is now 51 years old, and when the promo clip of the reunion came out, people couldn't help but worry about him once again. Viewers noticed that Matthew looked out of it in the trailer of the reunion. He didn't appear to be very engaged, and people pointed out that he even stuttered and slurred his words when he spoke. People commented things like, "My heart breaks for Matthew Perry. He looks totally broken." But other people are trying to look at this Matthew situation from a less pessimistic perspective. They share their support to Matthew by commenting things like, "You're a human being. You're not supposed to be Chandler all the time. You're much more than that. You're allowed to feel different emotions, but that doesn't mean we love you less." Another person said, "Let's remember he has suffered a lot with health-related issues and he has struggled with Let's be all kind and polite." And it's true. Matthew's mind and body have gone through a lot. In addition to that, Friends finished 17 years ago, so obviously he won't look exactly the same as we remember. We also need to consider that it's not only our bodies that change with age, it's also our minds. Matthew has not had an easy life, so naturally he's not as vivacious as he was almost 2 decades ago. And even if he looks a little bit sad or tired, there are reasons to believe that Matthew is doing all right in life. In November 2020, he got engaged with a literary manager called Molly Hurwitz, whom he has been dating since 2018. And regardless of what people think about his looks and speech, he keeps talking about his as something that he is no longer struggling with.
But I have very well documented alcohol issues in my life that have been resolved, thank God.
So maybe he is better than he appears to be. Or is he?
You never know.
So, is Matthew okay? The thing is, sometimes it's okay not to be okay and to show it. It's also okay to change and to grow. Even if he is struggling again, Matthew should not be pitied because for over 20 years, he has been an example of strength and resilience. Every time he has fallen down, he has proven that he is always willing to rise back up. Excessive drinking is a very cruel disease, and it takes a lot of strength and courage to pull yourself out of it. And Matthew has managed to do it like a champion. Personally, I think we should all be proud of him. Either way, it's very heartwarming to see the overwhelming love he's getting from all the people who care for him and who will be there for him. What are your thoughts on Matthew? Are you excited about the Friends reunion? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
That's interesting.
Wow.
That's very interesting. What's your first thoughts about that? For me, what's your first thoughts?
Just that being a public figure like that must be really, really hard. Because it's like you're not allowed to feel depressed or to feel like you don't want to talk to people or to enclose yourself or to isolate yourself. It's like you're forced to look happy all the time and pretend that nothing happens to you, even though things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, when you are in a place like this, there's something behind everything that happens. Because I mean, usually what's very difficult about mental problems is that you can see inside your brain. When someone has a physical problem, it's very easy to see, because if you break your arm, you can see it, that's broken. Or if something physical happens to you, it's easy to see because you can actually see it with your eyes, you know what I mean?
Correct.
But when it's mental, it's very complicated because you can't see it, and that doesn't mean it's not there. And sometimes the only way other people realize that something is going on is when you show it with an addiction or with something physical, like him. That alcoholism was probably it wasn't the problem. The problem was mental, but that was like the reaction from the mental disease. And people weren't worried about what's the mental problem? Why is he doing this? Why is he drinking? They were all like, oh, he's drinking. Yeah, but I know he has to go to rehab and all that, but not only to quit drinking, but to solve the main problem that's here.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize. Sometimes people drink, sometimes people get into depression, sometimes people take drugs or smoke or do things because there's something here they don't know how to handle, and they end up doing stupid things because something here is telling them. And your brain is your worst enemy. Your brain knows all your flaws and knows everything that you hate about yourself, knows everything that makes you angry, knows everything that you don't like, and it's reminding you constantly. It's there talking to you all the time. If you hate your nose, your brain is going to remind you, oh, you have an ugly nose, you have an ugly nose, and it's going to be there all the time. That's why it's very easy to be depressed if you listen to your brain. And that's the most complicated job, when you're like, no, you know what? I've had enough. Shut up, I'm switching off my brain. Yeah, he's still talking to me, but I'm just going to focus on something else, pretend that's not here. Or I'm just going to try to like talk to my brain. It's not bad to talk to your brain. When your brain tells you something negative about yourself, telling him, no, you're wrong. Like it was as if you're talking to another person. Just pretend that your brain is another person that's attacking you. Attack back. Say, shut up. It's not bad to talk to your brain. And yeah, I mean, I knew something, there was something happening because of, as I said, he was putting on weight, like being skinny and putting on weight, and then he was changing a lot physically. But I didn't realize it was because of alcohol. I thought it was just like, I don't know, he just went through a weird episode in his life, and that's it. But now it turns out he had a serious problem, and the what I find more interesting is he was still acting, and even he said that when he was acting, it was like his moment. It was the only time that he wasn't thinking about drinking because he turned the autopilot on. So that shows you that whenever you do something that you like, you can like doing hobbies that you like, or working, doing something that you really love can help you not thinking about the problem.
And going back to that, how your brain puts you in a state of mind sometimes where you don't want to be, but also adding drugs and alcohol on top of that, it's like adding poison to the poison. Do you know what I mean? So your brain is telling you, hey, this is going to help. This is going to help. Take this, take this, take this, take this.
Yeah.
Once he gets addicted to that drug, to the pills, then your brain is telling you, hey, you need more. You need more. You need another fix. You need another fix. And then the alcohol comes into it. And then your brain's telling you, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. This is what we need.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's similar to what you were saying. It's like there's a whole other person inside of here telling you these sorts of things. You know what I mean? So when you don't experience that yourself, when you don't experience these sorts of things yourself, it's hard to understand others that go through it. So that's why growing up, I was always taught to always put yourself in other people's shoes when it comes to mental problems and things like that, and think about what they're going through. And once you can understand what they're going through, then eventually you can have remorse for them, and you can actually feel sorry for them. And even if you can't help them, because a lot of people can't be helped.
No.
It's up to them. It's up to them to hit rock bottom for them to find out. Yeah,
exactly.
But you're able to then feel what they're going through and experience in a way so you in the future know how to handle these situations yourself. Because a lot of people don't know how to handle these situations because they've never been around it before, yeah? And a lot of people, there's probably 50-50 when it comes to if these people get put into situations where they see their family members, mum or dad, going through drugs and alcohol. It's 50-50 whether they go down that path or not. It's up to them to control their brain. But all this is learning experience for everyone else that sees everyone else suffering. So you have people that learn from others, like Matthew Perry. We learn from him, and we understand that we're not alone. So we hear these sorts of things, these voices in our head, and we can not necessarily control it, but we can understand this is normal. Our brain is normal when it comes to telling us these evil things, that we should be drinking, we should be taking this drug, we should be doing this, yeah? And we can somewhat put like a little barrier on it to say, all right, that's enough. But then there's other people that see this sort of thing happening and they end up following that path. Do you know what I mean? And then they end up not getting out of it themselves. Some may do, some not. But that's what I mean. It's, for me, seeing these sorts of situations happening to others, it's one or two things. You either see it and you don't do it, you see it and you do it. You know what I mean? And that's the way humans are. Because no matter what anyone says, that when you see someone suffering because of something similar to what you're suffering, you're either going to get out of it because you see them, or you're going to keep being in that situation because you see them in it. Yeah, that's the way the mind works. Do you know what I mean? So if, say for instance, you see someone have a bad eating habit and you eat bad yourself, you're either going to think, shit, I need to change, or you think, oh, what a freaking fat ass, nom 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 nom. You know what I mean? That's just the way the human mind works. We never go like this. We never sit on the fence. Oh, should we stop changing our eating habits, or should we stop? No, you either go cold turkey, or you know what I mean. Like, but you stay with it until you get to the rock bottom. That's when you get out.
It has to be something that hits you.
Yeah, exactly. But some people have that mentality. They can just stop. They can just stop. But the others that don't, they're the ones that you hear their story about, and they're the ones that. That's what I'm saying. Like, you will see, and you're like, oh, I don't want to end up like that. Or you end up saying, your brain end up telling you, oh, I wonder what that would be like. You know what I mean?
But I think it's more about the people that can just go like this and stop doing it. Yeah. It's because it's got nothing to do with your brain. They do it because, I don't know, they want to be cool, or because they're addicted to it, but there's nothing behind it.
Yeah.
They just smoke because, oh, my friend smokes. You know what? I want to try one. Oh, I like it. I want to smoke.
But also, it can.
But if you have a problem here and you're smoking to stop this problem here,
a lot of people. I don't want to keep going on about it, but a lot of people that have these sorts of addictions, there's something going on in their life or happened in their life where they're using it to replace that. So they're either using gambling, they're either using drugs, or either using alcohol to replace something in their life that's either missing or that's going wrong. They're trying to fill that void, yeah? And
that's difficult to stop.
And that's very difficult. And he was using the I don't want to talk about it like I know him, but it seems like to me like him struggling with his mental health and struggling with that injury, the drugs, then all of a sudden he got addicted to them, and then that's when his brain started telling him, you need it,
this making you feel good. This means you have to take it. You have to keep taking it.
Because it was filling that void of, hey, you know what I mean? Like, you don't feel good. It was filling that void, telling you, you feel good. You feel good. Keep going.
This makes you feel good. Keep going.
This is good. It's filling that void. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why people get these addictions, because they're filling that void of something. Yeah, and. Yeah,
it's very hard because
it's hard.
I mean, even when you stop it,
but that's what I'm saying. It's hard to stop addictions, especially when you've given it a break for a little bit. It eventually will come back.
That's what I was going to say.
It's very, very hard.
What's difficult is to not do it again.
Yeah,
stopping may be easy, but you go down again in the future. If there's something mental, you'll go down again.
But that's
And
the thing
what's
as well. Like all of us together, like me, you, our kids, you guys watching at home, we all have an addiction. We all have an addiction to something. I mean, you guys at home are addicted to watching us, hopefully. And
I don't think that's got nothing to do with mental health, though. They watch you because you're a clown.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a dickhead. There you go. No, but that's what I mean. Like everyone has an addiction for something. Do you know what I mean? It's just that.
But it could be a healthy addiction, or it
Exactly.
could be an unhealthy addiction.
Tanya's addicted to my. Anyway, the thing is, some people get addicted to the wrong thing. So you have all these things to get addicted to, and it's just unfortunate that some people get addicted to this thing, and it's very harmful to them. Some people get addicted to this thing, and it's very good for them. But there's so many, like, it's just unfortunate that someone gets addicted to the wrong thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's...
I mean, I could be talking about this for 3 years.
Addiction is a dick. That's what it is. Addiction is a dick.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you did enjoy that. Let us know in the comment section down below. We're going to head out. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of the day. And see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.